Welcome to Unchained here on Pahrump News. I'm your host, Deanna O'Donnell. So glad to see you here. Thanks for joining us so much. We want to talk a little bit about who's coming up, and that is Tiffany Whitecloud. She'll be coming up in just a few minutes, but she's a performer here in town, and we're going to talk about some recent shows that she's done, some upcoming shows, and how you can book her as well. Of course, one of the things that she does too is the art walk here in town. We're going to talk about that and some licensing issues that she recently had, and she's going to let us know all about that, and of course a little bit about what's going on with her personal life. All right, I'm joined by Tiffany Whitecloud. How you doing today, Tiffany?
I'm doing great.
So let's talk a little bit about that, because we were just talking about your last name.
Yes.
So tell me about your last name.
Whitecloud. So Whitecloud was given to me by a medicine man. He gave me Raven Whitecloud, but I didn't want to change my whole name. And when I got my divorce, I didn't want to go back to my maiden name, but then I didn't want to keep my former husband's last name. So I decided I'm going to change it to Whitecloud. So I go by Whitecloud, but legally it's still Seaback for my kids.
Yeah, you did what I did as well, because my name is Strain, actually. And but my kids are O'Donnell, and so I kept my married name O'Donnell, because I wanted them to feel like we were one unit still. Because divorce is hard, and so I didn't want them to have the impression that we were all separated and everything. So we still have all the same name, and I probably will be like that forever.
Well, when my youngest is out of high school, then I'll go to Whitecloud legally.
Yeah. Okay. And then so if anybody knows who Tiffany is a performer. She sings in a couple bands, right? Tell us about that.
So one of my bands is a 3-piece with Greg Smith and Dennis Beeman, and we call ourselves Legends of Lost Creek. Mm-hmm. And then I have a family band, which is Perception, and that consists of my best friend, Donna Tate, her husband, David Tate, my father, George Golson, and my mother, Denise Golson.
It's not me, it's not my family. With their tanks and their bombs and their guns and their drones in your head, we are crying. In your head, zombie, zombie, zombie. In your head, zombie, zombie, zombie.
And people know, especially your mother, because she does a lot of art stuff, and she was doing the art walk with you. I know your family, and George helped me out before at the Fall Festival with DJing. He helps with that a lot. Donna is a really wonderful drummer and helps with the art walk as well.
Yes, she's the vice president of the art walk, and she is a phenomenal drummer. I think she's the best in town, really.
Yeah. I was loving her drum rolls this past weekend. Let's talk a little bit about, you performed this last weekend at the Rock the Golf Course, and of course you perform at the Art Walk, which you do as well. Let's talk a little bit about that. A lot of people really enjoyed the music. We had Chamber Door, we had Perception, and then of course you have the Art Walk, which you perform at as well and invite bands, right?
Yes. The Art Walk is... I would say it's a community building project. I want to engage the whole community into the arts, and art is everywhere. So that's clothing, food, that's painting, drawing, building anything with your hands, cars even. So arts engulf everything. And I don't think people realize how much art really is.
And the thing is that creativity is something that really helps your soul. a lot of people are into art and creativity early on in their life, and then they kind of stray away from it. Sometimes they come back, but it really does keep you balanced, doesn't it?
Yes. Creativity sparks genius, and that's something that Einstein used to say. And if we look at being creative, this makes you think outside of the box, so you can come up with different ideas on how to fix this. So it's a lot about improvising, you know. So I like to encourage you repurposing items. So one man's junk is another man's treasure, kind of thing. So we do a recycled art contest, which we haven't had any people put anything in yet. So we will have workshops to teach people how to repurpose things.
So that's really fun and really creative, and for children and adults, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so let's talk a little bit about the art walk. You just had one recently. When's the next one?
January 11th of 2025, and it will be quarterly. So we'll have one in January, April, July, and then October.
And then this is all happening at where? What location?
At Rubacaba's Mexican restaurant on Red Butte.
Right on Red Butte. You guys really like that venue, and it's a beautiful venue, actually.
Yes, and they're very welcoming. You know, so they've made it a very peaceful place for us to come to.
There's a nice little area where you can have bands perform and everything in the back.
Yes, and we're actually gonna have more games. So we're gonna have some large Jenga games, and have different types of tournaments and competitions. So we have the Lego building competition, and I like to turn that into a tournament if we have enough people.
Yeah.
That means we'll have 3 rounds, and then the winners from each of those rounds will go to the tournament round. And then we have a drawing contest with chalk, which the first time I think we had like 26 people who were part of that.
Your mom does pantomime.
Yes.
Yeah. So is she going to be still doing that at these art walks? Because you guys also had the film festival as well. Is that coming back too?
So the film festival was separate, really. That is part of Anthony Greco's. He owns the Pahrump Film Festival. So he's decided to go and do his own festival. And so we won't have the film festival as part of it, but it is still art. So films, if people want to put in films for people to view, that is still welcome.
So you can still do that at the art walk.
Yes, and that's all at any of the festivals.
And they have a viewing room in there.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
that's pretty nice.
And so the viewing room will be for anything with the films, or anything that from our workshops that we do that people want to display at the art walk. That's what we want it for.
So people can find out more about the art walk. How?
www.artwalkofpahrump.com, and we have Facebook, Art Walk of Pahrump.
All right, and people can get in their applications for, of course, booths, and if they want to put in any of their art, or they just want to ask questions, you can find out more that way. So let's talk a little bit about your bands. You performed recently, like we said. Everybody was super excited. It was so much fun to watch those bands performing at Lakeview Executive Golf Course, and we got to thank Joe Paddock for helping us out there, and I mean, just a wonderful venue for performing. I mean, just looking out at the lake and stuff. I mean, it was a great evening. But also, when are you performing next? What do you have coming up next?
So with my other band, Legends of Lost Creek, we'll be performing on the 10th of November.
Okay.
That's the only one we have coming up.
So you're open right now, so people want to book you.
We're available.
There you go.
Yes.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see you guys perform again. I saw a Facebook post about somebody commenting that they thought it was their neighbors doing karaoke, but it was actually you and Chamber Door performing, and they were saying, I wish these people had turned up the music and everything. I was like, why are you down here? But I really was super excited when I saw that post, because a lot of people were also commenting in that neighborhood that they really liked the music. And that's what our whole purpose was, is to have music that you're not hearing all the time in the regular, bars around town, and a little bit different music. I know that you guys do perform at different venues around town, but we're trying to get a little bit more rock and roll going.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we play a variety. We do some blues and just a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
So just something that wasn't the country bands that we're hearing all the time, because we seem to have a lot of country bands in the bars, which is fine. But there's a certain point where you're like, I want to hear something else besides the country bands. So we're super excited to have you guys there. All right, I want to talk a little bit about what was going on, because I know that you went through the Seroptimist, you went to school, you got your license. Tell me about that. What?
Well, I didn't actually get my license. I was denied my license. So I was working somewhere as a substance abuse counselor, and this was pending my license. So it was going to be my internship. But when I applied for my license, they didn't like my resume. So they have denied my license, and told me that I need to take 6 hours worth of ethics courses and then come back and apply in 1 year, which really doesn't balance, 6 hours, 1 year. And their license is only for 6 months. Okay, so I would only be licensed for 6 months. So with the denial, I did file an appeal.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't hear back from any of the board members. I sent them all an email, and I still haven't heard from any of them. So I took it a step further, and I contacted Mr. Gregory Hafen, which, thank you, he responded the next day.
He's
to
our
my
Nevada State Assemblyman in District 36.
Yes, and he responded right away. So I sent him a letter one evening. He sent me an email back the next morning at like 9 o'clock in the morning. And so he is aware of the situation. And not only did this stop me from getting my license, okay, but I have kids. So now, instead of me helping people with their addiction, now I'm back bartending and serving their addiction.
Yeah.
And then the place that I was working for has to turn people away because they're now down people
A
to help
counselor.
with mental health. Yeah.
And we need mental health professionals so much here in Nye County and Pahrump and just in the state of Nevada. It just seems so odd because you were telling me about the resume that they had confused some of your classes with you perform or actually performing or exercising those classes. Tell me a little bit.
So I do so on the side and not for money, but as a volunteer because my passion is people.
Mm-hmm.
So I have helped people. They've asked me to help them with different things. So I have done spirit-led healings. I've done energy work. I've done different things like that. And I'm Native American. And I do like smudging, so cleansing spaces. I teach people how to cleanse their space and set their intentions for the day to have positive things come in for them.
And they thought this was part of you practicing without a license or something.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
Is there a license for that?
No, there's not.
Okay.
No, there's not.
Because I was just wondering how that was practicing if there's not a license for that.
Right. So I pulled my culture and my cultural things into my healing. Mm-hmm. And this is something I've done my whole life with people.
Yeah.
So this was not something new that I just started doing, but this is part of the reason I took the route that I did to get my credentials.
Yeah, it makes me worried that if you're getting your license and you give someone advice, they're going to suspend your license if
Yes,
somebody
don't be honest. Tell them you don't know anything and you don't practice anything.
No, I mean, like if you are getting your license and your friend wants some advice about her relationship, you can't tell her.
Right. Yes, exactly. And one of the people that I worked with is one of my best friends, and I've helped them overcome a lot of things, obstacles in their life. from they were traumatized as a child, and I've helped them with things, and they've grown so much from that, and they have blossomed and opened up and realized that they're not that they don't have to be they don't have to have such a wall up.
Yeah.
You know, so their walls have come down, and they learn to trust a little bit more in the process about themselves.
Yeah.
And so it's the things that I've done with people have worked. So it's, and I thought being honest was the best route for me to take to get my license, you know, but then they were like, oh, no. And one of the members said, oh, I've worked with a lot of tribes, and that's not how they work. And I'm just like, oh.
Okay.
So you're part of my tribe.
You know, it borders on, you know, with the whole Native American things, there's some issues there, and I'm glad that the Assemblyman is getting involved in that, because this is something that you practice every day, that you've practiced since you were growing up, and so there's some issues there, and making that comment is not a great comment either as well. But so at this point they're going to look into it, and then you told me some good news that they contacted you today, and then they said that there might be an oversight board.
Oh yes, so somebody contacted me who works with Gregory Hafen. She called me on my phone today, and she said that they're putting a general board, oversight board, to oversee all of the boards in Nevada, so that way they can check. There's checks and balances.
Yeah, and that is important. And I know that some people will say, "Well, that's more government," but I'm telling you, sometimes you need people to check and see what's going on.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and that's why on a lot of boards they will have like a liaison. You know, that's on another board to sit in with those meetings just to make sure everything is going smoothly and it's going how it's supposed to go. If you have a board that's just acting on their own, there could be some issues. What I was kind of shocked about was that when you appealed, nobody got back with you, and you also told me that you tried to call in during the hearing and you weren't able to call in, or...
Well, I called in, and then they sent me to listen to music, and I did that twice. And somebody else that I know called in, and they did the same thing to them. And then when I finally got in, was after I put my name on my the Zoom. Mm-hmm. So when I called in on Zoom, my name was up there, and then they let me in.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if they're just keeping people out for the meeting, but you know, how are you supposed to make a public comment if you can't get in?
Yeah, because it is a public board.
Yeah, but I'm not sure how their proceedings are. I'm not sure what the regulations are.
Well, that's what will really help with our assemblyman and really good accessible legislator right here in our town. So hopefully that'll work out for you. You're going to have to keep us posted. Okay, so let's talk about Speedy.
Oh, Speedy, yes.
So if anybody knows me, they know I have 2 desert tortoises that are registered with the state of Nevada, and they are domesticated. I adopted them through different avenues. One of them was adopted through some people who are very well known with tortoises here in town, and we built a habitat for them. And then the other one was adopted from a person who had went through some trauma, and a very well-known court case actually here in town. And she couldn't handle taking care of the tortoise anymore because she had PTSD. So mine is 50 years old and 30 years old. It's Greg and Stephanie, and they're both female. And they're microchipped and everything. I encourage everybody to get in touch with the tortoise group and go to their health check. They have them posted on their page, and get your health check for your tortoises and get them microchipped. And you can even get little license plates epoxied on the back of their shell with your phone number on it. And the tortoise group does a wellness check for free, and they're wonderful. And you also need to read about how to take care of your tortoise properly and build their habitat and their burrows properly. and what they eat. So we got Speedy. Speedy was another one that was given to me, and Speedy's super tiny, and the person that gave me Speedy said that they couldn't care for Speedy anymore. A lot of people have tortoises and they just feed them lettuce. And the spring mix is good because it has a bunch of different other ingredients in it, but that your tortoise can't live just on that. And so Speedy was given to me, but I gave Speedy to you and the kids. So tell me how Speedy's doing.
He's doing really good.
Yeah?
Yeah. So we've built him a little habitat. And I took one of those cardboard oatmeal, the round oatmeal, Quaker oat. And I cut it in half, right? And then we burrowed it into the ground, or into his little home. It's got like this much dirt in there. And then he's got a little plate where it's got some water in it, so he can climb in whenever he feels like it.
And so he's coming out every day still right now and everything?
He comes out every day.
Yeah. He's so adorable.
And he still eats a lot.
He does eat a lot, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I've never seen a tortoise eat as much as that tortoise eats.
I know.
I know he wasn't eating very good for a long time, but Speedy is probably, about 2 inches maybe across?
Yeah.
And my tortoises are full size, of course, and they eat, and then sometimes they don't feel like eating, and especially right now because the weather is starting to get a little cooler and stuff, so they start to kind of slow down on their eating. But we give them tortoise food, of course, and some people mix up what the turtle food is and the tortoise food. I gotta talk to everybody about that because there is specific tortoise food, so you gotta really look when you are purchasing tortoise food. I buy the ZooMed one offline, and I also buy the Missouri one, which is offline as well, but I get the low sodium one and make sure it says desert tortoise on the package, not just regular turtle food, but desert tortoise food. And I put that in warm water and squish it up and make it so it stands up. On the tortoise group, you will be able to see how you are supposed to present the food to them. But mine, sometimes they want it a whole bunch and sometimes they aren't interested. So
he hasn't seemed to be so interested in the tortoise
I know.
food.
I don't know why he's not interested in the tortoise food so much.
I think he likes the crunch of the lettuce.
So I also gave them some mulberry leaves the other day and some rose petals and just green beans, but I was told by the tortoise group don't give them too many of those. We don't give them any of the sweet stuff, and the tortoise group told me watermelon only once a year on their birthday because they don't want super sugary stuff. But I've learned so much by going onto those pages and finding out so much about them, and I got to tell you, they're just so much fun.
Yeah, and I was not planning on getting any kind of pet.
I know. I asked you, what are you doing for the next 80 years?
I know. Yes, but if I was going to get a pet, I'm glad I got a tortoise.
Yeah. Well, because you have them for 7 months out of the year. 5 months they're brumating, and they go into their burrows, and you don't see them, and you worry about them. Right. It's amazing how much you just stare at them, though, and just see what they're up to and stuff.
The kids love him.
Yeah, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. Both of mine, they're both females. I really believe Speedy's a male because we looked at his shell and everything. And if you have tortoises, you'll find out how to tell what they are. Usually their shells are a little bit sunken in right here if they're a female. But I'm encouraging everybody to find out more. Go on tortoisegroup.org. Find out more. Do not pick tortoises up off the street. This is the biggest thing I have going crazy about is the tortoise group doesn't take in tortoises anymore. They're kind of like a dating site now. So what they do is if you want to adopt a tortoise, you can go on there and there's just lists of people saying that they need to get rid of their tortoise. Either they're moving or something's going on in their life. And you can adopt a tortoise right from the tortoise group's website. And if you have a tortoise that you have to give up for adoption, of course, you can list it on there as well. So please do not go and get tortoises off the street. There's so many domesticated tortoises that the tortoise group they can't take them in anymore. And once a tortoise is domesticated, they can't go out and fend for themselves anymore. So I'm just saying, go on the tortoisegroup.org. If you want a desert tortoise, please get the proper habitat for them. And you can read how to build the habitat. Once you have it built, it's pretty easy and they're pretty self-sustaining. You just have to go out and feed them every morning and say howdy to them and give them some water. And I have massive pictures of my tortoises' habitat. And so find out more by going to the tortoisegroup.org. And I can't wait to see Speedy grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing so good. The kids just love him, and he's in a nice home, and he eats for like an hour.
Yes, I don't know where he puts it all.
I know, right? All right, thanks for joining me today, Tiffany. We had so much fun today on Unchained. Thanks for joining us here too as well.